Polkadot isn't doing too great recently. It's going down with the overall market. In this video, we're going to look at various data points, at inflation, at transaction activity. There's quite some interesting on-chain metrics, but there's also relative valuation, right? This is just the US dollar chart, but how is Polkadot doing versus Bitcoin, versus Ethereum, versus the entire altcoin market? There's a lot of things to discuss, so without further ado, let's jump right in. So of course, it's no surprise that Polkadot is recently going down, right? The overall market, not just crypto, but also traditional finance is going down. And given that Polkadot is at market rank 11 and has a market dominance of 0.7%, it does have more volatility, right? It does have more risk, and thus there's inherent leverage when prices tend to go up overall. Then Polkadot tends to outperform, and the same is true the other way around. Now, according to Messari.io, Polkadot's inflation rate is currently at 9.99% per annum, which is for an altcoin relatively high. There are cryptocurrencies with higher inflation, right? XRP, for example, or Avalanche have higher inflation rates. The problem is always that inflation puts sell pressure on the token. And when the adoption can't grow quickly enough, when it doesn't outgrow the inflation, maybe because we are in a bear market or whatever the reason might be, then we see a relative underperformance. Now what we see over here is the Polkadot price measured in Tether, or measured versus a stable coin. And the additional squiggly lines that we see over here are back-tested moving averages with certain buffer zones. So historically, these moving averages work the best for timing Polkadot. When the price is below, we should rather be outside of the market or bet on falling prices. When the price is above, we should be betting on rising prices. That's at least if you're interested in actively trading Polkadot, if you don't get any tax disadvantages by doing this. Now currently, right, in the short term, we are rather bearish. We are below the moving averages. We see pretty much the same picture across any kind of altcoin right now. Nothing can really grow in terms of US dollars. But where the thing gets interesting is when we look at relative performance. So how is Polkadot doing relative to Bitcoin, for example? Now this is the Polkadot price divided by the Bitcoin price. And it is going somewhat in a sideways trading range long term, right? We did see a bit of an outperformance, but it's not really massive. We see sometimes Polkadot is expensive, sometimes Bitcoin is expensive. Currently, Bitcoin is comparatively expensive. If we just assume that the current sideways trading range will continue to stay intact, we've got a risk of maybe 18%, or in a worst case, 35% versus a potential reward of 90%, or in the positive case, 223%. Now we also see the parallel lines over here, right? So we had some kind of a upwards trend with a very large variation in 2020 and 2021, and then this transition to a downwards trend. So really the question, in case all of this stays intact, is can this support here last, and can this downwards trend then be broken? Now, relative to Ethereum, Polkadot looks a little bit worse. And a little bit is somewhat of an understatement. We are in a downwards trend, and we are relatively high on that downwards trend. So that indicates that Ethereum might be gaining against Polkadot quite massively in the future. So the possibility of risk appetite potentially further declining, people selling off DOT in favor for getting into Ethereum. So it will be very interesting to see what will happen in the next 2 or 3 weeks. If we simply just can go sideways for a while, maybe this negative momentum can actually stop. Now, what about Polkadot long term in the grand scheme of things, right? Because these comparisons to Bitcoin and Ethereum, they are somewhat marginal. Why not look at Polkadot versus Total 3? Now, what is Total 3? Total 3 is the cryptocurrency market cap minus Bitcoin's market cap and minus Ethereum's market cap. So we are really just looking at the altcoin market cap, and we are comparing Polkadot's market cap to the rest of the altcoin market. Can Polkadot grow as quickly as the overall altcoin market. And we did see a quite nice outperformance at the beginning, right? When Polkadot was still fresh. But we did see our peak in that relative valuation in February of last year. Since then, the rest of the altcoin market has massively outperformed Polkadot. So we are looking at an underperformance of DOT to total 3 by 78%. And this is now a market cap comparison, right? This is not a price comparison. So this is not .USDT. This is simply just DOT. So the market caps. One market cap divided by the other market cap. Another way to look at this is, instead of dividing this by total 3, to look at DOT as a fraction of the overall cryptocurrency market cap, as in what is Polkadot's dominance. How much of all of crypto is locked up in Polkadot? And that is currently at 0.74%. Okay, so Bitcoin's dominance is at 47%. It is rising with the recent bearish momentum. Ethereum's dominance is at 17%. It is falling. We might be trading in somewhat of a range here. Polkadot's dominance is way smaller, right? Polkadot is way smaller. There's way less capital in DOT than in Bitcoin or Ethereum. And the trend in the grand scheme of things isn't that great. Maybe we've got a support over here, but it is somewhat of a stretch, right? The recent peaks have been lower and lower, and it rather looks like, if there are no great new news coming out for Polkadot, that this decline in dominance might continue. What would that mean in relative valuations here? Well, it would mean that Polkadot is probably not anymore at market rank number 11 in terms of market cap in a few months or years. Other cryptocurrencies might take more market share and might push Polkadot further down. But of course, nobody knows the future, right? I'm simply just describing what's currently going on. One relative valuation that might also be interesting is to look at Polkadot relative to Kusama, right? The test network. And this chart, I think, is also not surprising. We see that Polkadot tends to outperform Kusama in the recent months, and that's probably just an expression of the market becoming more risk averse. Kusama is obviously riskier than Polkadot. Kusama's market cap right now is 78, or the market rank is 78 rather. Now we've got more data to come. On-chain data. If you so far enjoy this kind of content and you haven't yet subscribed, don't forget to do so. I do publish videos regularly. So here's the next piece of information. This is the transfers in the last 30 days taken from Polkastats.io, and this is not positive at all, right? We're looking at 14K transactions. This then went down to around a third. Today's day, this data point can probably be ignored because the day isn't yet over, but still a reduction of around 66% or so during the last 30 days. The overall activity in crypto, of course, went down, but it didn't went down by that magnitude that we can see here in Polkastats. On the same website here in the staking stats, we can see the average elected self-stake. That's also rather trending down. But unfortunately, we don't have any longer-term data around this. We are in a bear market, and so fighting the general trend when everything is going down is obviously not that easy. So this is how I see currently the market. People are rather risk off right now, right? This is the stablecoin dominance. How much money is currently in stablecoins? So this is USDC, USDT, and DAI all combined in one chart. And the market has rarely been that cautious. Polkadot, even though being at market rank 11, is still pretty volatile. It's still a risk on asset. I think it makes sense to go risk on again, to buy Polkadot, to speculate on rising prices once this momentum here turns around, right? Once the stablecoin dominance declines, once people are hungry for risk again. With the currently rising interest rates in traditional markets, with the technology stocks rather trending downwards, crypto is having a hard time. So things of course depend on your time horizon, things depend on your risk tolerance. For the very short term, however, I think it might rather make sense to go with the flow, to go with momentum and not necessarily bet on this turning around. In the short term, Polkadot looks rather like a falling knife than a buying opportunity still. Let's first wait until all of this consolidates. At least this is my personal approach. If you're interested in daily market updates around Bitcoin, Ethereum, around various altcoins, or if you're looking for an approach how to plot those relative valuations, how to run backtests on moving averages, there's all kinds of exclusive content here at thebitcoinstrategy.com. The link is in the video description. It's currently $49 per month and more information is in this video. Hope to see you in that video and thanks for watching this one. Bye bye.